I'm going to tell this exactly the way it happened. Clean, direct, and in order. Because the order is what saved me. My husband and my closest friend tried to kill me more than once. They failed. They're in prison. I'm alive. And if I sound calm when I tell you this, it's because I practiced being calm until it kept me breathing. The first thing that felt wrong looked like nothing. A Tuesday. He texted that he'd be late, quarterly numbers, last client, the usual. 15 minutes later, she texted that she was near my area and could drop by for coffee at 6. Those two messages sat on my phone like strangers who didn't know they were related. She came, sat on the counter like she always did, swinging a heel, gossiping just enough to make me comfortable. And watching me drink water like she was timing my swallows. She noticed everything in my kitchen. What oil I used, which spices I reached for, the orange prescription bottle with my last name in block letters. She picked it up, read the label out loud, and laughed. "Didn't you say these make you sleepy?" I took the bottle back and angled the label toward the backsplash. That tiny movement felt silly then. It was the first thing I did right. He came home earlier than his text said. His smile overshot reality by half an inch. He hugged me too long while keeping eye contact with her. If I had blinked slower, I would have missed it. Two people calibrating a lie without words. We ate pasta. We talked about nothing. Later that night, I woke up thirsty, walked barefoot to the kitchen in the dark, and slid on something small on the tile. A pill. My pill. The orange bottle lay open in the shadow under the cabinet toe kick, where I had not left it. I crouched and counted. Off by 2, maybe 3. I told myself I miscounted. I put the cap on hard and went back to bed. I didn't sleep well. 2 weeks later, my car's brake pedal felt wrong. Not sponge soft, not dead. Just a fraction lower with a faint grind. Metal saying hello where rubber should talk. At the four-way by the park, I pressed down and the whole car answered with a note I'd never heard. I turned around, drove home slow, said I'd borrow his car because mine made a weird sound. He walked out, looked at the hood like if it insulted him, said it was probably surface rust and he'd get it serviced this weekend. He said that phrase the way he says we should grab dinner with them sometime, a promise to never. I took it to a shop anyway. The mechanic lifted the front end, spun the wheel, frowned, and called me back to the bay. He pointed with a clean finger at a caliper bolt and the missing cotter pin. "Who worked on this?" he asked. "No one," I said. He shook his head. "This was loosened and not secured. You were 5 bad minutes away from losing the caliper." Cold crept between my shoulder blades and spread. I paid cash. I kept the receipt. I took photos of the bolt he showed me. I did not tell my husband what the mechanic said. Small things stacked. My almond milk tasted like soap. Sweet, chemical, wrong. I spat it out. Date fine. Cap sealed last night. I poured it down the drain and rinsed the carton until the water ran hot. 2 days later, I cut an apple and the knife smelled like bleach when it hit the cutting board. Bleach doesn't evaporate into steel. Someone had wiped the board and put it away wet. I rinsed everything twice. I ate standing up at the sink and wondered when I had turned into a person who did that. People ask when I knew they were together. I didn't get a single scene that shouted, "I'm cheating." I got crumbs. He started running, new app, new shorts, ring left in the tray by the door. She started texting questions that pretended to be caring, but plotted my routes. "Do you still go to the gym Thursdays? Which lane is fastest on the turnpike? Ugh, I hate the third row at your grocery, those cameras glare." I began answering wrong on purpose. If she asked whether I was home at 5, I said no and parked 2 streets over to watch my own house. Twice, I saw his car turn onto our block 10 minutes after he'd told me he was still wrapping up at work. Once, I called her from that corner while my kitchen window glowed. "Busy?" I asked. She said she was heading across town. The air in the background sounded like inside. The oatmeal moment broke the spell of pretending. I eat the same thing most mornings: oats, cinnamon, chia, banana. I opened the cinnamon and caught a bitter almond edge beneath the spice. I stirred a pinch into water, touched it to my tongue, and my lips tingled. 3 seconds, not longer, but wrong. I spit. I took the jar to my neighbor, a paramedic. I didn't explain. I asked her to smell it. She blinked twice and said, "It smells like bitter almonds. Some toxins do." Not everyone smells it. She did. She looked afraid for me. Fear looks different when it's on someone else's face. It made me steady. I threw out every dry good and opened new packages. I stopped eating anything from a container I hadn't opened myself. I started a log, date, time, tiny. I didn't call anyone dramatic words. I wrote down facts. I laid simple traps. A hair taped across the pantry door at knee height, low enough you wouldn't see it. A dusting of flour on the counter where a hand might slide. 3 plates stacked in a way that would wobble if the top one were lifted carelessly. I pointed our entry camera at the door and set a second camera. The old baby cam we never used, high on the bookshelf, aimed at the kitchen. I said nothing to no one. I went on like normal. Because normal is the shell that hides movements. One Tuesday afternoon, she showed up with a pink bakery box, her nails bright against the white string. "They just came out of the oven," she said, sliding it toward me. I smiled, picked up a pastry, took a small bite, and made an excuse to set it down. When she left, I wrapped it in foil, labeled it with the date, and put it in the freezer. 2 days later, I paid to have it tested. The lab report came back with a word I had only read in novels: poison. The gas came next. Twice in 1 week, I woke in the dark to a smell that didn't belong to night air. In the kitchen, the knob on the stove had been turned just enough to release gas, not enough to ignite. Both times, the windows were shut. Both times, the gas detector on the counter had been unplugged and set aside like a toy. I took photos before touching anything. He suggested a drive to the lake, said we needed air. On a curve without a guardrail, the car began to drift toward the edge. My hand clamped on the wheel before his did. He laughed, said I overreacted, that the tires must have caught gravel. I watched his knuckles on the wheel and didn't believe him. The baby cam caught what the entry camera didn't. Her letting herself in with a key, checking the gas detector, and opening the cinnamon jar. Later that week, it caught both of them in the kitchen, their voices low but clear enough to make out words like, "make it look like," and "nobody will think twice." I went to the police with everything. Photos of the breaks, the flour disturbances, the poison lab report, the gas leak photos, the recordings. The detective's face didn't change much, but his questions did. "Would you be willing," he asked, "to help us catch them in the act?" It was simple. I told her I'd be at the lake alone Thursday night. The police set up plainclothes units nearby. Thursday came. The air was sharp enough to sting. My phone buzzed. Him, saying he was working late. Then her, asking if I was still at the lake. I answered yes, and kept the screen lit, my thumb ready. Their car arrived 10 minutes later, headlights off. They parked behind me. He got out first. She followed. The third man, a face I didn't know, stayed by the trunk. They tried to coax me out of the car, talking too fast, smiling too wide. I didn't move. I saw the shadows shift behind them. Police officers in plain jackets moved in, voices hard now, metal flashing in the dim. They were handcuffed before my pulse had time to settle. The search afterward filled in what I didn't know. Poison in his sock drawer, brake diagrams folded in the garage cabinet, her phone hidden behind my kitchen books, internet searches on her laptop for how to make a death look accidental. In court, their lawyers tried to blur the edges, said the pastries were a prank, the brake issue an accident, the gas leak a coincidence. But the evidence didn't bend. The jury didn't take long. Both were found guilty of attempted murder and conspiracy, sentences long enough to keep them away from me for decades. I moved. I changed my name in small ways. I keep copies of the evidence in a locked case. I don't drink from glasses I didn't pour. I don't eat from plates I didn't wash. If you ever feel like something's wrong, like the smallest things are adding up, listen, write it down, take photos, trust yourself. That's what saved my life.